Welcome everyone to this session. I think this is the second session for today, and this will be about chatbot testing. But before we start with the presentation, I would like to introduce you to Ruby Peng, who is from China, and actually she has a great expertise in chatbot testing and more than 7 years in generally in testing, and she will share with us her expertise in this field, which is, I think, quite an interesting field. But before she starts, I would like to ask you that, of course, in the meantime, you will have questions. And if you have those questions, please ask those in the Q&A session, and we will save some time at the end, definitely, to answer those questions. If you see some question there and you would be interested in hearing that, please vote for that, and then we will take that as like a priority. And one more thing, when you ask your question, it helps us if you set your name, so you don't ask it anonymously, because then obviously we can tell that, like, Sándor asked this question from Ruby, and then it will be better. So thank you once again for being here and listening. And yeah, I think I will pass the word to Ruby, and please share your thoughts.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this event. I hope you can see and hear me clearly. My name is Ruby. Welcome to QAZ Day and welcome to my talk. Today, I'm going to talk about chatbot testing. I'm not sure how many of you have the experience of testing a chatbot or testing any other kinds of AI product. How will you test it if you are working for a chatbot project? I hope you can find the answer after the talk. Just to run you through what I'd like to touch on today. Today, my topic will cover 4 parts. I will first go to talk about chatbot overview, let you know the concept of chatbot, know how it works, and then I will go into introduction to the chatbot platform, the tools for you to create a chatbot. And I will then have a bit of look at the core AI platform and how to build and train a chatbot. To make it easier, I will give you a simple demo there and to give you a general idea on how to build and train the chatbot. Finally, I will dive into some details on chatbot testing. And I will wrap up with talking about the steps to test a chatbot from scratch. So by the end of my talk, I hope you can walk away with how to guarantee the quality of a chatbot. So just a bit more about myself, who I am. My name is Ruby Peng. I'm a senior software testing engineer in Ipan, China. And I joined Ipan in 2016. I have been working as a software testing engineer for more than 7 years. I have worked with the clients like China Merchants Bank, Burberry, UBS, and Schroders. I have rich experience in testing the field of banking, e-commerce, and chatbot. As I've had the chance to work on a project to help the client to build an internal chatbot for a company. So I would like to take this chance to share my experience on chatbot testing. Okay, let's start. What is a chatbot? Have you ever communicated with a chatbot before? Actually, chatbot is a short term for chat robot. I believe most of you have the experience of communication with a chatbot, either by voice or text. Siri is one of the most popular personal assistant via voice in Apple devices. You can just say, open the camera to Siri in your iPhone. Then Siri will help you open the camera quickly and then you can take a photo or record a video. Similarly, you can talk to Siri like, send a text to robot to say, I love you. Then Siri will input the text of I love you in short message and select the person as a receiver. Finally, the message of I love you will be sent to robot. It's interesting and amazing, right? Yeah. Another scenario is communication with a chatbot by text. You type out the information to chatbot in the chat window, and then the chatbot responds to you with information in that window again. So you can understand, chatbot is actually a computer program that simulates the human conversations. And the program carries on conversation with humans by automatically engaging with received messages. AI chatbots are the smarter version of these chatbots. They use machine learning and natural language processing to understand human intent better, to make it more intelligent. And nowadays, chatbot has been widely applied in lots of domains like customer service, education, entertainment, and personal assistant. It is because that chatbots create more personalized experience for customers by tailoring companies' responses and the content to the customer queries and interests. They are also cheap and they can work around the clock without requiring human intervention. Based on the functionality of a chatbot, it can divide it into 4 types of tasks for chatbot to fulfill. There are question and answer chatbot, Dialogflow, small talk, and the recommendation chatbot. The question and answer chatbot is usually lasts just one round conversation. User can ask questions, and the bot will give response based on the predefined answer. Usually, the question and answer chatbot will be applied for the most frequently asked questions in a specific business industry to help user to get an answer directly and quickly. If the question is out of the scope, customer service agent will be involved at this point. Then is the Dialogflow. This is designed to complete some task requested by user. It can be in the format of Dialogflow or sending alert to user for a kind of reminder, or just providing lists of information requested by user, and so on. And it usually lasts several rounds of conversation. Most of the chatbot have dialogue tasks to realize the business value. Then the third kind of function that a chatbot can fulfill is the small talk. Small talk is designed for user to kill time and build up the chatbot's personality. It can make it sound like a human being, and the bot can give responses to your greetings, your jokes, even your emojis. The last kind is the recommendation chatbot. It is programmed to offer personalized recommendations based on users' likes, dislikes, and the chat history. Offering personalized recommendations in chatbot can be used as an effective way to drive more customers to the final stage of a sale. And a chatbot can be combined with one or all of those tasks to meet the business requirements. In a flight chatbot, it can have the ability of small talk, providing FAQs to customer, recommend and book a flight. So I think you can understand some basic overview for the chatbot. And now let's have a look at the basic chatbot concept before we step further into the chatbot work principle. We need to know 3 keywords: utterance, intent, and entity. Anything that a user says to the chatbot is an utterance. For example, if the user types or says, "I want to fly to China next Sunday," the entailed sentence is considered as the user utterance. And the few essential words in the utterance that describes what the user wants the chatbot to do is an intent. It is usually a combination of a verb and a noun. And the intent of the utterance I list just now, it should be book a flight. The chatbot wants to fulfill the user intent, and the bot may require additional information or parameters. For example, to book a flight, it lists the source and the destination city along with the travel date. Hence, for the utterance, "I want to fly to China next Sunday." China is the destination entity, and the next Sunday is the flight date entity. In short, the utterance is the user input. What the user wants to do is an intent. And the key information to tell the chatbot how to do it is the entity. And every chatbot faces three challenges. First, they need to understand what the user wants. It's the intent detection. If the intent is detected wrongly, then the chatbot would give a wrong response, which would make the user confused and even lost their patience to continue the conversation. And the second challenge is extracting the entity, extracting the required information from user so that it can accomplish what the user wants. For the utterance, "I want to fly to China next Monday," if the chatbot cannot capture the entity of the destination and promotes the message to ask a user, "What is your destination again?" the user definitely will be disappointed for the chatbot's comprehension. And the third challenge is the conversation flow. Chatbot need to accomplish the user intent. It leads to carry on the conversation to accomplish the user intent. Maybe it is to book a flight. Maybe it is to give an answer for a question regarding how to cancel a flight, or it is just to accomplish the intent of recommend a flight for the user. Say, for example, there is a flight chatbot. The chatbot can fulfill 5 tasks. Like here, the chatbot can check the weather, and the user can book flight, and even can modify and cancel their bookings. And also you can check the flight status. When user input different utterance, which stands for the different intent, the related intent should be recognized, and the dialog flow should be triggered accordingly. This picture shows how it works. The key element for a chatbot to communicate with human being is the technology of NLP, the natural language processing. We can look through the process. First, chatbot need to understand the user input. It is a process of natural language understanding. And then the chatbot recognizes the user intent, and the logic for intent is triggered. After that, the dialogue management will control the conversation flow as it is designed. Sometimes chatbot will promote questions to user to get some extra information to complete the task, or ask a user to confirm the information before proceeding. And then once all the information collected from user is enough, chatbot can call related API server to retrieve data or proceed an action and get the response from the third-party server. At this time, chatbot will transform the result into human language again for user to understand. the natural language is generated here again. So every conversation goes follow this way. Understand this can help us to make up a strategy to test the chatbot. Okay, before we implement a chatbot, we need to think about what's the purpose of the chatbot. What kinds of the task the chatbot will accomplish? And then we will think about what technology or chatbot platform we will take into use. Actually, there are lots of platforms and framework for the chatbot developers. Now I will give you a short introduction to them. Here, chatbot platform or chatbot builders allow developers to build chatbot quickly and easily. You can build up a chatbot in some platforms simply by drag and drop. And also you can create a code-based chatbot with the chatbot framework. Most of the platforms have provided the service for developers to build, train, test, monitor, and analyze the performance of the bot. And the image in the middle shows lots of chatbot platforms. And my last project is to create a chatbot in the platform of Core AI. As Core AI is an enterprise software provider of an all-in-one chatbot platform. It's a leader in conversation AI solutions for the enterprise sector. It provides cutting-edge smart technologies for the enterprises to build and deploy customized chatbot for their customers. And today's sharing is also based on Core AI platform. And also in this talk, I will mainly focus on chatbot testing. Regarding how to build and train, I will just give you a simple demo to give you a general idea so that you can understand the chatbot testing. Okay, first let's have a look at the steps to build a chatbot in Core AI platform. Usually the step is first, we need to define and build your bot. Define your requirements and create a task that closely represents your bot. And then we will train it. Refine your bot's natural language using a step-by-step approach. After the training, we will test it. Tester will test the configuration and setting, conversation flow, and more. After the testing, we will publish your bot to the desired user and groups. And once it goes live, you still need to analyze it. You will manage the updates centrally and measure the ongoing performance. From the analyzed result, we can plan for the enhancements features for the chatbot, and then we design, build, train, test, publish again and again. This is the software developer cycle for chatbot. What I list here is the steps to build a chatbot in Core AI platform, but I think for other platforms, the steps are more or less the same. Okay, now let's have a look. Say we are going to implement a weather forecast chatbot. And in order to provide a weather forecast to user, we choose to use a dialog task to implement the chatbot. And we design the flow by collecting different types of loads in the Core AI platform. You can see on the left, it is the conversation flow. And on the right, it is the logic load flow in the platform. Let's have a look at the conversation on the right first. You can see here, after user input weather forecast to trigger the conversation, bot promote message to ask a user to input entity of place and time. And after that, bot will ask a confirmation before retrieving weather data from the server. The user input whether for case is to initiate the intent load, and the promoted message of the chatbot comes from your design. According to the different user input, the bot will give different responses as the logic we designed. You can see here we can say yes to confirm the entities and the weather data we retrieved from the server, say it's sunny. Meanwhile, we can say no to overwrite all the entities we provided before, and the bot will ask us to input entity again. After the bot gets the new entity for place and time, the bot will retrieve data again. Till now, we have implemented the basic functionality of a weather-focused chatbot. But in the real life, not everyone just input exactly weather forecast to initial a conversation. User may say, "What's the weather like?" and so on, blah, blah. If we didn't train the chatbot to understand all those utterances, what will happen? Yes, you can see here, before training, bot cannot recognize the user intent. For the utterance, will it rain tomorrow in Shanghai? Bot said, I'm unable to find an answer. In this case, the chatbot seems to be useless, as it only recognized the user intent by 2 words, weather forecast. How to make the chatbot understand more utterance correctly? We need to train the bot. To train the natural language processing model of the chatbot to resolve the problem. After training, chatbot can give responses to those different user input. So you can see how important the training is. And that's the difference for an AI product with the traditional software product. It can give the training can make the chatbot understand the more utterance correctly. And usually it is the developer and the content manager's responsibility to train the bot. And they can train the chatbot by the methods of adding machine learning utterances, adding bot scenarios, or adding patterns, or just change some threshold or configuration for the natural language processing model. As a tester, our responsibility is to test the NLP, the natural language processing model, to make sure the model is properly trained. The training time differs case by case. If the content of your task is very simple, maybe less than half an hour is enough to train your chatbot. But if the task is very complex with huge content, the training time will last more than an hour. Okay, then as a tester, how can we guarantee the quality of our chatbot in the development cycle? Just like testing any other software, I think we can apply the test methods to test a chatbot. But testing a chatbot requires some special attention and procedure. Generally speaking, when we test a chatbot, we need to consider following points: the conversation flow, the error scenarios, the bot accuracy, the usability and the user experience, and the look and feel. As we know, the chatbots are based on conversations. Therefore, it is very important to test the conversation flow of a chatbot. In the real conversation of human beings, people may change their topic in the middle of a conversation or go back again to change the information she says minutes ago. Afterward, we never know what the user will type in. So in the chatbot testing, we need to test all the possible scenarios of a conversation flow, including the interruption scenarios. And the error scenario is also the most important features of a chatbot, which needs we take some time to test it. Say if user types some incorrect date, like July the 14th, a non-existing date, or the end date is earlier than the start date, the chatbot should handle it properly so that the error message which are thrown out by the chatbot can be understandable by the user. Then the bot accuracy is the NLP score for the intent and the entity capture. This is the most special and important part for testing an AI chatbot. As you know, the chatbot understands user intent by NLP model, the natural language processing model. We need to test the chatbot with a variety of user inputs to check how does the NLP model recognize the intent of those inputs. Compare the actual recognized intent with the expected intent. Then we can judge how the NLP model works. And for those mismatched intent, we can report to developers to train. Usually, there are technical tools for us to quick check the NLP score in the platform itself. I will mention it later. And then let's have a look at the usability and the user experience. The purpose of the chatbot is to improve the efficiency as a personal assistant. Hence, while testing, we need to consider about the user experience and the usability of a chatbot. The chat window should be a friendly interface, and the conversation round should be as nice as possible to accomplish a task. Another thing is, no one wants to read long texts in a chat. If the response text is too long, we need to think about how to separate them into 2 or more bubbles, or use a check more link to expand the details. Then look and feel is last but not least. We need to test the look and feel of a chatbot. Make sure the UI style is designed as what we designed. Make sure the chatbot correctly use quick reply buttons, lists, and carousels to carry out the message. And meanwhile, we also need to check the tone and the voice of the replies. Make sure it matches its personality. Then, how to test them? Okay, talk to your bot. Design the test case in advance and have a conversation with your bot. To test the response, you can find most of the bugs while talking to your chatbot. This is a screenshot for the chat window in Core AI platform. On the right, there is a chat window for you to test your bot. You can type out the scripts there and check the response. And on the left, there are debug tools. You can check the debug logs, the natural language analysis, and the session context and the variables. They are very useful. The debug logs can provide a list of the processing or processed dialog task components along with the date timestamp. And the NLP analysis describes the bot task loading status. And for each utterance presents a task name analysis and recognition scores. The session context and the variables shows both the context object and the session variables used in the dialog task proceeding. They can help you to debug your chatbot. Okay, till now you can understand how to check how to test the chatbot, just talk to it. But in our real life, you understand that while building your bot, there will be lots of change and updates made to the bot. For every change and updates made to the bot, As a tester, we need to test it again and again. It is time-consuming to talk to it again and again. Hence, we need to automate it. Chatbot Test Runner in GitHub is developed for testing chatbot in Core AI platform. It automated the conversation from the API layer. You can record the successful conversation with the bot first, and then you run the test suits in future to help regression test scenario. You just need 4 steps to set up the automation test. First, you download the Chatbot Test Runner from the GitHub and configure it to your project. And then you record the conversation to generate the test data and the test cases. And then it can be run. You can run the test suits when you need it. And later just track and report the result of the automation test. Here I have provided a screenshot for you. It's a screenshot of a test case in Chatbot Test Runner. On the right, it is the conversation flow in the chat window. And on the left, it is the automation test case. The test data are in the JSON format. And the Core AI platform itself provides the recording tools for testers to use. We can prepare the test suite by clicking the recording button, record the conversation flow in the chat window, or just create the JSON file by yourself if you like. Then the test suite can be executed in Test Runner. And this screenshot shows the test result of automation test. It will compare the bot response with the recorded bot responses. The test results are recorded in a test result spreadsheet, providing a comprehensive report of the test run with the input, actual and expected results, and the status of the test run, pass or fail. You can use this spreadsheet to report, keep a track of, and retest the failed test cases. Given the flexibility of language, users will use a wide range of phrases to express the same intent. Besides the functionality of a conversation flow, we need to test the bot accuracy to evaluate whether your bot can respond to the user utterance with the most relevant task. There is a built-in tool in Core AI platform which can help us do utterance testing to test how the utterance matches with intent. And in general, there are just 3 steps to do the utterance testing. First, you need to rephrase. You need to think about other ways of express one thing. And the second, to check the recognized intent for the rephrased utterance. And third, you correct or train it if needed. For example, you can rephrase check my annual leave balance as how many annual leaves do I have left, or do I have more leaves, and so on. Then you check the recognized intent for those rephrased utterances. The test result of utterance testing could be single match, either with a correct intent or a wrong intent. And it also can be multiple match intents. That means bot recognize multiple matched intents for your utterance. And also bot can recognize nothing. That is a long matched intent after the utterance testing. What we expected is to be single match with a correct intent. Here is a screenshot, and this is what we expected. It is to be single match with a correct intent. But actually, this one is a matched with wrong intent, although it is just a single match. You can see here what is better like is wrongly matched with retrieve my leave balance. What you need to do is mark it as incorrect and select the appropriate intent and try it. This one is the multiple match intents. Natural language processing agent identifies multiple intents that match with the user utterance. From the result, we need to select the radio button for the matching intents and try it. And this one, the user input did not match any task in the bot. We need to select an intent from the drop-down list and try it to match the user utterances. Those are all the screenshot result of the utterance testing. And from the screen, just now from the screenshot, you can realize that the utterance testing carry on one by one. You can only test one utterance at a time to check the intent recognition. It is time wasting. Batch testing is an enhancement for utterance testing. It can help us execute lots of utterance testing in one time. We just need to collect all of the utterance in one test suite and run the suite. So it's more convenient for us. This screenshot shows how the batch testing suite looks. We provide the batch test suite with a variety of user utterance as input, and the expected intent of the input, and also the entity value of the entity name if there is. For the weather forecast intent, the screenshot have listed two inputs. The first one is it going to rate tomorrow in Shanghai. It includes the entity or place and a day for a weather forecast, but the second one don't have any entity. So we updated the test suite in the Core AI platform, and then we run the batch test suite. After running the test suite, we need to analyze the test result and point out the mismatch ones for the developer to further training. Here below is the test report. The utterance here can match with correct intent. The results are 100 TP, which means true positive, means the utterance have correctly matched with expected intent. But this is another screenshot for the batch test result. Only one utterance matches with the correct expected intent. Its test result is marked as TP, true positive, but for the left, the test result type are FP, false positive, which means utterance have matched with unexpected intent. Looking into details, some of them matches with multiple intent, and some of them matches with wrong intent. That's why the result is FP. For those utterance whose test result is not TP, true positive, we need to provide to developers to enhance the training. They can work on improving by adding or modifying the utterance to the machine learning models and so on. Okay, and till now, I'd like to conclude today's presentation by summarizing the steps to test a chatbot from scratch. First, we need to use the basic simple utterance to trigger the intent to test the bot response. This is usually happen in the early stage of your development. We need to test all the possible conversation flow scenarios to cover the error scenarios, to test the conversation logic, make sure the initial bot functional meets the business requirement. we talk to the bot, or we use test runner to test the code logic of a chatbot. And then after that, we prepare and rephrase the utterance to test the bot accuracy, to test the natural language processing model. Testers need to identify a representative sample of user utterance to test the bot responses. If possible, we can also look for the sources of data that reflect the real-world usage of the language. Utterance testing is applied to check the bot accuracy. We can use batch testing as an automation tool to make sure the chatbot is properly trained. And besides that, the model is properly trained and tested, then we can handle on the UI test. And we can carry on the usability test, and we can focus on the bot speed, the performance of the chatbot to test the bot response time, and so on. In general, we need to talk to bot to check the basic functionalities manually. And also we can use automation tool to run the test runner. And apart that, we also need to test the AI model. Make sure the training data include a representative sample of the real world. We're not only using the training data, but also the testing data to test the NLP model. It can be manually done by utterance testing or using automation tools or batch testing to make sure the chatbot is properly trained. This is the key point, and this is the most different point compared to the traditional software. Okay, I think that brings to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruby. I think this was a really great presentation and quite a whole. It was interesting. I would like to ask the audience. So we will go to the Q&A section and we will go through on those questions which you have asked. So if you are typing right now, please feel free to finish your question and share it, and we will check those. And also you can go and still vote for the questions, and we will start with the most voted ones. But before that, I really like your presentation, Ruby. And if I may suggest you a next topic, maybe for the next Q&A days, performance testing of the chatbots would be a really great topic, and I think a really interesting one.
Okay, I will try. I hope I have the chance.
Okay. Then I think we can go to the Q&A section. We got quite a lot of questions, and let's start with Mikolan's question. Have you had funny? Oh, it just got scrolled. Have you had funny story with the bot, like some funny unexpected behavior?
Okay, yeah, I do have actually. Actually, the chatbot responds with you, and as a tester, I will analyze why it has this kind of response, especially when we have some unexpected responses. I can give you an example that is, I remember we have a bug. Actually, it is a bug. But when I analyzed how the bug comes, it really make me okay, how to say? I learned a lot from it. Actually, the background is the chatbot. We have a chatbot it can provide some service for employee to apply their annual leave. So we have a scenario that is a user. You can say, am I eligible for annual leave? And then this is the user input. And the chatbot say, yes, you are eligible, and providing a link, a button for user can clicking on it and then go to the apply annual leave flow. Okay, in this case, the user clicking on the apply annual leave button, and then at this time, the bot didn't ask the start date for the annual leave, just ask what's your end date of your annual leave. And no matter how many times we tried, the bot usually always keep the current day as the start day for your annual leave. If you start the conversation like, am I eligible for annual leave? It made me very, I don't know why it happens. And I take a lot of time to analyze it. And finally, I got to know, actually, it's a bug in the platform because the platform recognizes, am I eligible? AM, it recognizes it as the morning of a day. So the bot assumes that you are going to apply annual leave from this morning. So that's why the bot doesn't ask you to input your start day again. Just assume, oh, you will you will apply your annual leave from this morning. And when is the finish day? So, so I think maybe when we testing and communicating with the chatbot, we need to think from the natural language processing point of view. I hope you can feel it also very funny.
Yes, definitely. It's it's interesting. That's funny. Okay,
Yeah,
but
okay.
I would suggest just to go to the other questions because the time soon is over, and let's give others the chance to get answers. So we got a question from Oxana, and as far as I can recall, it was at the same time when you started to talk about the tools. That what tools do you use for testing your chatbot? I think you mostly answered this, but if you would like to ask or add anything to it.
I think tools actually, because we developer in the platform, based on the chatbot platform, usually they provide lots of tools for us. Regarding to the project I participated, the Core AI platform, it has the tools like I mentioned in the presentation, like the first in the Core AI platform, it has utterance testing tools and the batch testing tools. These two tools are just building in the platform itself. But meanwhile, we also use Chatbot Test Runner. Is a kind of software framework to do the automation test based on that framework. We can use the platform itself recording function to record the conversation, and then the test case can be carried on in the framework of test runner to help us to automation it. I hope it can answer your question.
I'm sure you answered that. Thank you very much. And we have a question from, I hope I pronounce well your name, Anton. Should we test all the possible dialog flows in the chatbot? And any recommended testing framework for testing a Google Dialog chatbot? Let's start with, should we test all the possible dialog flows?
The possible dialog flow, I think basically we do need to test it, but you can have maybe some clever way to cover them. Maybe you can first you analyze the basic requirement, your business requirement, to focus on the main flow, and then you think about the other possible flows to think about a test point for this kind of scenarios, and then compile them together to make you can have the last test case to cover more scenarios.
Okay. And do you have experience with Google Dialogflow chatbots?
Oh, actually, I don't, but I know it. Before our project, actually, we compared two platforms. One is Core AI, another is Google platform Dialogflow. But finally, we select Core AI. I think maybe it is because Core AI has more advantage for enterprise complex. But Google platform, maybe, I guess, in my opinion, maybe just for not enterprise level complex, maybe small level, I guess.
And based on your comparison, can you recommend a testing framework for the Google Dialogflow?
Actually, I don't have much knowledge about Google Dialog chatbot.
Okay.
I'm sorry for that.
Thank you very much. Let's have the next question. That's again from Nicola. That's actually quite a funny question. So bots are kind of robots. Do you test bots against 3 laws of the robotics?
Robot. Can you repeat it again? I didn't quite catch that.
Yes, I think Nicola wanted to be a bit funny, and that's actually something funny. So bots are kind of robots. And do you test bots against the 3 laws of robotics? Yeah, I think that's like a poetic question. So thank you, Nicola, for the question, but I would suggest go to the next one. Someone asked that what tool can you recommend to test Telegram bots? Have you any experience? Telegram bots.
Telegram bots? I have no idea. Sorry.
No worries. I think this field is also growing, and we have more and more tools. So you are not expected to have every tool and knowledge about every tool.
Yeah. And I can say that the maybe every platform or tools has their advantage and disadvantage. That's why we need to spend a lot of time before we start a project. Before we implement, we need to analyze it. But it's maybe a lot of thing will impact it. Impact your final decision to work on which platform like it.
Okay. We have one more. I think we have 2 more questions, but we're really running out of the time. So I think we will follow up these questions. I will consult with the other moderators and technical stuff on what form, but we will follow up these questions. Thank you for your questions. And thank you once again, Ruby, for your talk and presentations. I have shared the link to this talk in the chat or questions part. Please, you can visit that. Please vote for Ruby if you thought that this was a really great presentation. And you will also find the recording there. I would like also to highlight that one of my colleagues shared in the chat 2 more links, one for the Lean Cafe, which will happen today, and the next talk or the next session, the technical quiz. And I would like to add one more. If you go to the community that page and the QAZ day, you will also find like a funny quiz link. Share, feel that. I've already done that, and it was, let's say, it's funny even for Friday. So so thank you once again, Ruby. Thank you all for your attention. I hope you will visit the other talks today, and have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice weekend.